So to start us off, I'm just going to walk you through a couple of slides that I created, and then we're going to get some time to explore and play. So what can you use Google Forms for? I've used them for surveys, for exit tickets, for polls, to give feedback, for quizzes or assessments. There's so many different ways you can use it. And I also included this link to this article that has 25 different ways you can use Google Forms in your classroom. So I figured that's something if you have more questions, you can explore later on. In my classroom, I use the daily check-in form. So they fill that out before they come to class, just to kind of give me an idea of like how they're feeling for the day, if there's anything I need to be aware of. And we also have a star student every week. And so the kids, we explore different types of qualities that we considered a star student could be at the very beginning of the year. So each week they nominate one of their peers that they think has done a great job or is exhibiting those qualities. And so I have them complete that form every week. It's just something that's really quick, and they've been doing it for 25 weeks now, so they've got it down. And the thing that's nice, if it's something you're going to continually use, like I just make a copy of it each week, and that way you have fresh data. Some other ideas you can use, we've used like a reading log reflection. I know in a workshop, we're always trying to get kids to analyze their reading habits and set goals based on those. So I'll have the kids check in every once in a while and answer a few questions about their reading log. Are they actually completing it? Are they reading enough? What are some things they're noticing, and how can they set goals from that? You can also use it as an exit ticket. And one thing I like about Google Forms is you can always use, like this is a pre-populated, a pre-populated form. So there's templates that you can use if you're like, I'm not ready to create all of the questions myself, but I just want something that's going to be available. That's going to be an option. So let me get back into this. So when you go to your apps, wait, no, Forms isn't here. So the way I do it, I have it saved in my drive, but you can always go to forms.google, oops, if I could type, that'd be helpful.com. And this will bring you to the main Google Form page. And you're going to see this menu above. These are all of my recent forms that I've used. So I can go back and make copies of them if I need to. We are doing virtual clubs. So I have a dance club that I'm running. I have them fill out a survey. We've done it for back to school night. I have parents like fill it out. There's lots of different things you can do. So up top here, you're going to see like, here's an exit ticket. Here's a worksheet. If I were to click on any of these forms, you can see this one has some just generic blurbs. But if you're like, I don't really like this background, you can change it. Or what do we want to call this? It's called Google Forms 101. And then over here on the side, there's a couple different options. You can add a question. You can, let's see here. I got to move you guys out of the way so I can see. This one isn't going to allow you, like if you already have questions somewhere else, you can import them. So it can be from previous forms or things you've previously selected. So there's that option. But if you're wanting just to start off with the absolute basics, you can just do a title. So question one could be, I don't know, give me a question. What's something you think you might ask your students? Like you're doing a daily check, or it could be, if we want to focus on like assessments, that might be something that's kind of nice. So what is the least common multiple of 32? I can't talk. 8. Okay, whatever it might be. Now over here, you're going to see a couple options. If you're like, I don't like that question, I'm going to delete it. You can use the little trash can. If you're like, oh, I'm going to ask the same question, I'm just going to change the numbers, then I would have to duplicate. And now you see you have 2 of the same question. You can give a description, like show your work in a model or draw a diagram, like any kind of information you want to give your students that's more specific. Excuse me. So please show your work using a visual model and explain how you know your answer is correct. So that could just be like a little subheading. And then the 3 dots over here are going to give you some more options. So you can show the description, or if you're like, I don't want that for them to see, you can take that off. So that's an option. Now, if I come down here and I say, I don't want to actually do that one after all, I'm just going to delete it. Now, here's the fun part. So if you go to any like new questions, so if I wanted to go here, I could add a video if I wanted to. Here I could add a new section. I can add images for my library. Lots of things you can include. But again, if we want to just go simple, if we click that drop down menu, you have all of these different options for the types of questions. So if you're asking them to respond to a prompt, you're probably going to want to use the paragraph option. It gives them more characters in which they can respond with. Short answer would be something like your name. Okay, that doesn't need a lot of room. So I use multiple choice a lot, or check boxes. So when they're voting for their star student nomination, they check off the students that they believe have earned it for the week, and then they have to explain why. So, but they can check off when you use check boxes. Say, let's see, option 1. So, I just had a thought and then I disappeared.
Kristin, can you make pictures be the answer?
I believe so. I've never actually done that, but let's try it out. That'd be fun. I think I'm going to have to probably add a different question. So multiple choice, choose, click on the fish that matches the species. See, there's so many different things you can do. Cool, awesome. So here we go. Option 1. There we go. Okay, option 2. Come on. So that's a great idea for primary students if you want them just clicking on a picture instead of, or you could even do it for like, which of these pictures has the short I sound. So there's lots of different ways you can accommodate lower grade. I know sometimes it seems like forms are more for upper grade, but it really, you can use it for a lot of different options. Thank you, Norma, for sharing that one. I've never used it for that purpose.
Yeah, I've used it to assess shape ID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I just didn't know, because some of my students are non-readers, so I just didn't know if the question can it be done in an audio instead of reading it? So I don't know that.
Well, I know you can embed a video. So if you wanted to record yourself, when I record my lessons, I always upload it to YouTube on a private unlisted channel. And then you could, like, if you wanted to give the directions in a video, then you could embed that there. So if I want to go to add video, here, let's see here. I don't think I have anything saved right now, but if you, well, I don't think we have time for me to walk you through how to go through that process. But if I went to YouTube, let's just find a random. All right. I love Mr. K President here. I know it doesn't really apply to what we were saying, but just to see so I go to share, copy the link right here. And then if I go back to my form, whoops, wrong one. I'm going to just paste that in there. And then it's going to ask me to confirm that that's a video I want. And so now we see that. So you can, click here to listen to the, or they can just click on the video. It'll give, you can record the instructions, and then they could have pictures as a choice for answering them. Now, the other thing too is if I send home, for example, like a parent survey, or even there's answers that I want the kids to make sure that they're answering, you can have this little option right here where it says required. So if it's something that you're like, they can answer it if they have a question. So you said, do you have any questions or comments? And if they don't have any, you can maybe uncheck it so they don't have to answer it. But if you have it marked as a required question, they can't submit the form unless they've answered it. So that's another option. I also like to, let me go back up here. And if you're doing like a check, I'm skipping back to the parent surveys. What are your plans for enrollment next year? Okay. Now, if I want the parents to answer that, and I also want to collect their email address, I think it's not going to work. Sorry. Yeah, let me come over here. So I could do a multiple choice grid. I can upload a file from here. If I have maybe some information for enrollment for them for next year, and I want them to take a look at it and fill a survey out, you can upload a file. Wait for it. You can set the parameters, like if you only want a certain size of file you can upload, or only certain types that they can access through this. You can click here. So like I only want them to be able to see a video or PDF, or only want them to see a drawing. Those are some different ways you can narrow it down. So when you go to upload the file, it's not looking for absolutely everything. It's looking for one form. Another option, I do like the drop down menus, because when I'm filling out something, like we're doing like our Fast Bridge small groups, and I'll have them do like anytime I get a new group, I'll have them fill out a questionnaire, like getting to know you. So like, what is your name? Okay, so name. I'm going to change this to short answer, and then I'm going to create another question. Name, or tell us 3 facts about you. Tell us 3 facts about yourself. And now I'm kind of bouncing around, so if just want to cover as much as I can. If I'm going too fast, so let me know. So then I could have a paragraph form for them to answer this, and then I could duplicate this and say, who is your teacher or homeroom teacher? And the thing that's nice about this one, if I do a drop-down menu, like I could say Mrs. Smith, Michelle. Yeah. So if you do any kind of shared groups, this is another way to keep track of it. And so then when they go to choose the answer, well, let me put it in view mode here. I know we're all over the place here, but if they were going to answer it, they would just click here and like, oh, Mrs. Smith is my teacher. So that's another thing. That way they're not having to enter it, like type things out or find them. Sometimes it's nice for them just to be able to have easy access to it. And what I just did right now, I should have mentioned. When you're down here, this is the edited form. Yes, leave. When you see that pencil, it means it's going to take you back to the teacher mode where you can enter it. And if you go to the eye up here, that's the preview of the form that the students would see. So we have, what, 3 minutes left? Is that right?
Kristin, how do you get it in the hands of the student?
Oh, great question. So if you go to send form, you can send via a link, and then you can copy that link. A lot of times I'll just shorten it because they give you the option, and then I'll copy it. I can either paste it in the chat of like Zoom or Google Meets, whatever you're using. Or if I want something that they're going to come back to, I can post it on Google Classroom. Or if you use Seesaw, you can post it there. And then the other thing that I like to do if I want to see the responses, I always click here where it says the little Google Sheet emblem, and it'll say create a new spreadsheet, or I can link it to an existing spreadsheet. But once I do that, like anytime somebody responds, it's all going to go into a document like this where I can see all the information at one glance.
Okay,
Right.
great. Thank you. It was the link then that I got stuck. It kind of got me a little, I was like,
No,
Annoying.
I know. And it's a lot. It's a lot to remember. Another thing really quick, I know we only have a couple minutes left. There is a way, like if you go up here to the little cog where it's settings, if you go over here to quizzes, you can make it a quiz. And if you wanted to, like if you wanted them not to be able to go to any other tab, you could lock the Chromebook. The only way this works though is if they're only accessing the survey itself. Like if you're giving them an assessment, like a math test or a math check-in, and you don't want them looking at different tabs, you would lock it. And then they could only stay on that Google form until they submitted it. And then the other thing though, if you have any outside links, so say you've linked a video or linked an article that they have to go outside of the Google form, then it won't work because they can only stay on that one link. But if you chose to, you can have them use it as a quiz. Then you can actually give them feedback and they can go back and see it. Okay, I think we are out of time already.
thank you. Wow, that's great.
Thank you. That was awesome.